my god, you made a song just for TikTok?
Yeah, you can come and watch me drink my morning coffee.
Terry versus Ohio. There's been a lot of talk lately, especially by a certain white savior on this app, about how if we overturn Terry versus Ohio, it would lead to most of the problems in the black community being solved. Now, before I get into telling you why that is just a bunch of bullshit, and maybe I should have addressed it sooner, but I couldn't believe that people were actually buying into this bullshit. Let's talk about what Terry versus Ohio actually is. Now, this is John Terry, and on October 31st, 1963, Terry and two other men were observed by a plainclothes police officer and what the officer believed to be casing a job, a stick-up. The officer stopped and searched the three men and found weapons on two of them. Terry was convicted of carrying a concealed weapon and sentenced to 3 years in jail. Now, the defendant appealed, and in his appeal, he raised 2 points. And let's look at the second point, because he claims a violation of the Fourth Amendment. And you can pause and read the Fourth Amendment right here. And his point was that the court erred in refusing to apply constitutional guarantees prohibiting illegal search and seizure and substituting, therefore, a doctrine of stop and frisk. Stick with me. Now, Terry was argued before the Supreme Court in the year of my birth, 1967, and it was decided in June of 1968. In an 8-1 decision, the Supreme Court held that the Fourth Amendment had not been violated and that all of the weapons seized could be used in evidence against those defendants. Let's say if we overturned Terry versus Ohio 20 years ago. Let me tell you what would still not have changed. Tamir Rice would still be dead. Fernando Castile would still be dead. Breonna Taylor, Atiana Jefferson, they would both still be dead. Baltimore John would still be dead, and so would George Floyd. You had enough death? You know what else would not change? America's racial wealth divide, over $130,000 between a black family and a white family in this country. Housing inequity, the disproportionate barriers that black people face to vote in this country would not change.
I just tried to recruit a black leader and look at what's happened in my life.
Did this bitch just say that he tried to recruit black leaders like we work for him? Yeah, you're delusional and your parents dropped you on your head multiple times when you were born. As far as you threatening black men, you've threatened the wrong one. Trust me.
I love black people. I have tons of black friends. But by the way, all my black friends right now are making videos. Do you know that? Every black friend I have is making a video saying, I'm friends with Chili. I've known him for this many years. I've had to do it because I don't want people to brand me racist. And now I asked them if I was racist, and they said yes. They said I was racist. Does anybody here think I'm racist? If you think I'm racist, you should unfriend me. And we shouldn't.
This is not right. This is not right. Like, all my white friends are right now going to make videos for me right now to see if I am racist, because I'm not racist, because I have a lot of white friends. I know I have a lot of white friends, and they better ride for me right now, right?
Chil de Castro, here we go. Chil de Castro started off heavy, coming with the history of racism in America. He started making conversations, started saying things that was just like, man, this man is actually onto something. I mean, he actually gets it. He gets what it is to be a marginalized person and why we need to fight so hard for it. But then he started coming outside of his neck. And then his white savior complex kicked in. because his white savior complex placed him in a position in his own mind where he thought, I can say whatever. And that's the problem with white savior complex. The black community, the POC community, we don't need a white savior. As a matter of fact, we don't need white people much to say much more than anything that they have already said. What we need is allies and accomplices. Allies, people who understand in the struggle that we're fighting for an equality and equity within this country. And accomplices, people who are willing to fight for those things. But when you're a person who built a whole platform up of just speaking out and are not willing to listen to the POCs that are telling you what you're saying is a little bit harmful, then you're neither one of those things. And that's the issue with Childa Castro. He's a person who sees himself as above reproach about any of his actions due to the fact that he has spoken out so many times before. He thinks just because he said something and has pointed out issues that we can be okay and every issue is just peachy keen. Or at the bare minimum, something that he has at least said and brought attention to. He allows himself to believe that while he is bringing attention to these things, he is actually doing something to help out the people rather than listening to the people. And that's the issue right there. We don't need saviors. Saviors is something that they preach in churches. We need allies and accomplices, people who are willing to listen and people who are willing to put into action things that we are saying. We need the people who are willing to go out into marches and stand up there and say, hey, I am fighting for the equity of this black person. We need people who are willing to listen and say, hey, I hear what you're saying and you're 100% correct and I'm listening to you. Hearing and listening are two different things, and what he has proven himself to be is a person who is a great hearer but not a great listener. Hearing is what you do when you play background noise when you're driving in your car. Listening is when you're paying attention to that background noise and actually giving cadence to it. And he doesn't do either quite well. So if you're a follower of Childa Castro, don't be a follower of mine. Because you and I, we're not the same. Nor will we ever be. I wish you luck on your future endeavors on trying to discover what it means to be an ally and an accomplice.
I can't focus on this anymore, you guys. I gotta move on. I'm ready to sit down and have a truce with Jolly, with iSpeak, with Talib, with everybody. I'll sit down and have a conversation, as long as we can just do it fair.
It is my firm desire that you have the bumpiest ride to hell that you can absolutely have. Because if you think for 1 minute you're going to threaten my family, threaten to kill my mother, my brothers, my sister-in-law, and think that I'm going to call a truce with you, threaten the way in which I take care of my family because you decided to be racist, you got another thing coming. But see, this video is not holistically for you. Over the last few days, I've learned that the level of infuriation that I reached because of this situation was not healthy at all. And the last time I felt this, I spent a few days in the hospital. I have to force myself to eat, otherwise I'll get sick, because my mind laser focuses to one specific outcome. However, shout out to my moderators as well as my mutuals that hit me up, that called me, that text me. Special shout out to my wife. You know, there are times when I have to remember and remind myself that these are the types of things that come along with my platform. Although they're not fair, although it's not right, death threats are going to happen. It's one thing to think about it, and it's another to prepare for it. Then it's a completely different ball game to have it staring you right in your face. You see, those of us that fight this good fight, this message is for you. I want you to understand that this fight is not easy. This fight is not one that you can just pick up and put down when you get ready, because it's not about us. It's not about us at all. We take the precautions to ensure that our families are safe. We take the precautions to scrub the internet of all of our personal data. And then you know what we do? We get back on the battlefield. What's the battlefield I speak? Life. Some of us are tacticians. Some of us are literal soldiers. Some of us are medics. Some of us need to be off the battlefield and in the situation room making key decisions. And then some of us are strictly reserve force or reinforcements. We must understand that we have to play our position. I'm going to leave you with these words. run. And if you cannot run, walk. If you cannot walk, crawl. But whatever you do, don't stop moving. Good day.
I'm going old school, y'all. Are you familiar with this user? Many of you are. If not, you already know what time it is. Buckle up. Let's talk about it. If there's anything I can't stand more than a racist, it's a grifter. What is a grifter, you might ask? A person who engages in petty or small-scale swindling. Let's get into it. Let's get into a little background, then we'll get to present day. This gentleman contacted me because he wanted to talk about Terry versus Ohio, right? I came across his page and said, wow, this guy is educating. I'm an educator. Let's connect. We hopped on a call. Some things were exchanged. I'm not going to talk about that because that was a private conversation, but I felt a little off. So I said, you know what? I'm going to sit back and I'm going to see how he acts over these next coming weeks, because something in me was just like, don't trust this guy. But I said, I'm going to give him a chance. Up until last night. And this happened. Apparently, he exchanged some words with Talib Kweli. Yes, internationally known rapper, icon, activist. Yes, Talib Kweli. And this is what he had to say to Talib Kweli. Talib says to him, stay out of black folk business and stop being racist. Oh, and in true grifter fashion, he starts off with love and peace. Okay, I reached out to you, my friend. Peace and love. Oh, but if you look right here, this whole paragraph leading all the way up to this white man telling Talib Kweli to drop down on your knees. Now, I had him on my live stream and I asked him, why would you tell this black man this as a white man? Do you understand the ramifications that come behind that historic language? His statement in retort to me was that that is what a police officer says to a black person during a Terry stop. So your first thought is to utilize the rhetoric of police officers when speaking to a black man. Let us continue, because there's more. You then go on to say this. Oh, but this one here is my favorite. Not you telling a black man, get back in the studio and make a song? That you're not doing anything? It's giving very much shut up and dribble. It's giving very much undercover racist. But you know, I'm not really concerned much of what you think. I'm concerned with what Hubilu thinks. And it'd be a real shame if someone called him or emailed him, because see, you're the worst type of ally. And of course, when you're not getting your way, you'll be suing me. Because in one breath, you'll say, I'm not even upset. And then turn right around and say, of course I'm upset. You see, you think your proximity to doing the work that you do grants you an opportunity to speak over black people? It doesn't. And your true colors will always shine through. You said you were going to sue me, right? Well, I've been looking for a reason to buy a new suit. Good day, Goofy.
Now let me finish. No, it's okay. Listen, I'm going to leave the black community and I'm going to do something else with other people, because I just am so disappointed in this right now.
What?
I'm going to leave the black community.
You were never in the black community. You were never a part of our community. That was your whole issue to begin with, was that you couldn't find any black leaders or black popular people or black influencers to work with you. And that black people who associated with you, who actually claimed to be your friends at one point, are all calling you anti-black and racist now, including a lot of followers. At what point are you going to sit back and listen? Like, you're still using language that refers to yourself as like a savior. You're giving this opportunity to the entire black community, and we're not taking it. So now you're done. Now your support was conditional to begin with, which is probably what black people were already noticing and why they didn't want to mess with you to begin with. Your support is conditional. You're disingenuous. You're fake. You're not real. The only real thing that you have going for you is the anti-blackness and the racism that you finally exude when you get in your feelings about this. We didn't want you. We don't want you. Move on.
Gilda Castro is suing I Speak, Jolly Good Ginger, and Talib Kweli for...
So, show up. It sucks that as black people, whenever we interact with supposed allies, we always have to wonder in the back of our head, is this performative? Are they just doing this for the attention? Are they doing this for some type of self-gratification and not really for the cause of equality? And this gentleman, Chill De Castro, I followed him because he was making some great videos, some great content, some great points about policing in America and how it has grown and adapted from slave catchers, something that me personally, I didn't want to believe for a long, long time. And it sucks that when these individuals are questioned, they always seem to show that they're really not allies, that they really don't care for black people's opinions, especially when it differs from theirs. When you don't give in to what they want, they will use the same type of rhetoric as the racists who they claim to want to distance themselves from. This man told Talib Kweli, a rapper, a famous activist, to get down on his knees. Now, I don't have to tell you the type of connotation that shit has, but to sit there and tell that man to get down on his knees, what does that take you back to? That takes you back to slavery. That takes you back to when the slave masters used to try to dehumanize and emasculate the male slaves to gain power over them. You were threatening to sue an actual ally in Jolly Good Ginger. You were threatening to sue I Speak 1906 for libel and slander when they've said nothing slanderous. They've merely used your words and pointed out similarities to those things and to those individuals who you claim to want to distance yourself from. Black people always got to be, we always got to be super careful of everything. We got to be careful of how we act in public. We got to be careful in how we react to things. We got to be careful to who we trust. It's exhausting. And to all of y'all who have said in my comments before that you would gladly change places with a black person for a day. No, you won't. No, you won't. You will never do that because this life is not easy.
You see, I absolutely love when these goofies give me all the ammo that I need. Let's talk about it. A few days ago, I exposed this goofy for the racist that he truly is. He went on Instagram to recruit Talib Kweli. Yes, internationally known icon Talib Kweli. And after Talib told him, stop being racist and stay out of black people's business, his first retort to him was to tell that black man to get on his knees. Then to tell him to get back in the studio and make a song. It's giving very much shut up and dribble. Oh, but there's more. He then goes on to refer to us as the minority people. Let's listen to what he had to say about me on his BS YouTube apology.
I explained to him exactly what Terry is. You ever hear him mention it? You ever hear him mention it? How come, speak?
I'll tell you why. Because after our conversation, I didn't feel comfortable with you. I didn't trust you at all. Because you would say things like, this is not my movement. This is your movement. I'm here for you. As if I need you. As if I haven't been out here in these streets for over 14 years doing the work. You see, you want a show. You want recognition. That's not what this movement is about.
The guy who says he speaks on TikTok, I reached out to him 4 months ago. I walked him down the history of institutional racism in our country.
And then what? That's to assume that I didn't know already. You see, your problem is that you want recognition. That's not what this movement is about. We've consistently stated that multiple times. Okay, we overturned Terry, and then what? Do you think that will stop the police from unjustly killing unarmed black people? Do you think that's going to stop the school to prison pipeline, gentrification, redlining, any of that? No? Let's continue. And then in true white man fashion that's not getting his way, what do you resort to? Violence. And I told you I don't need an audience. You do. And for some reason, you think you are something to fear. You are nothing to fear, goofy. And the reality is this. I will not allow you to use a deceased child and a grieving mother for clout. You see, I've been 10 toes down in this movement, marching, protesting, fighting for the rights of marginalized people. You, sir, want recognition. You want the praise. You want the pat on the back. Well, here's the deal in this movement. You don't get that. You do the work and you continue doing the work without recognition. You think you can stand and hold a torch to Jolly Good Ginger? Move along. Good day, goofy. Oh, and I'm still waiting on that lawsuit, bitch.
Anthony Highland, also known as I Speak 1906, is lying. I don't want to fight his wife.
I didn't come here for an education. I came here to tell you something, right? This is what I came to tell you. I came to tell you that you continue to threaten people in the black community, and that's not going to work out well for you.
Is Jolly black?
Talking about, did you look up Jolly's information and tell him who his wife's whole name was?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I don't know Jolly's wife's name. I don't. No, I don't.
So why do you know Anthony? Why do you know Anthony's wife's name?
Because she was on the documents when we looked her up. We actually found.
Why did you have to even mention her name?
Why does he have to mention and call me a racist?
No, this is not called Deflection 101. This is called why you did that. Let me tell you why you did it. You did it for the same reason racist white people have been doing that shit for years. You tried to intimidate this man by using his wife, by bringing his wife up like you knew his wife. That's why you did it.
I'm intimidating both of them, and they're scared, and they should be.
Yeah, let me tell you something, right?
Only if they sign the waiver. Only if they sign the waiver and get in the cage. Otherwise, I'm never going to assault anybody on the street. I'm never going to assault anybody on the street. It's never going to happen. It won't ever happen.
Public service announcement to Chili De Castro or Jose or whatever your name is. Tag him in the comments. You've doxed me. You've doxed my wife. You've doxed my brothers, whom all have families. You got my cell phone number that I never gave you. You communicated on Lex Scott's live that you knew where I lived at and you were ready to pull up. The gloves are now off. You communicated on your live that you wanted to choke out my wife. The gloves are now off. If you see me in public, don't talk to me. Be prepared for what you just started. Good day.
Why did I tell Chile De Castro I'm officially done with him last night? I put up a video about Jalen Goodwin, and in that video I said that we shouldn't focus on Chile De Castro. Let's instead focus on the work, on the people that died. And he took offense to that. And I'm going to show his own words so that he can't turn around and claim slander or try to mass report this video as well. I mean, here he is telling me not to focus on him, but to focus on the movement instead. And I thought, okay, that is the right thing to do. But then he wanted the Jalen Goodwin video taken down. And even after he blew up on me last week, I still had the patience to explain to him why the black community is angry, why they are justified in their anger. All you got to do is be genuine in your apology if you actually care. But again, his words, there is no black perspective. There's only one perspective, the truth, and the rest is bull. I have a problem with that, and I have a problem with this. These things are not the same. The things he has said are problematic. I'm not speaking on this guy again. Don't send him threats. It's wrong, and don't get yourself in trouble. He dug his own grave already. Your numbers are blocked. You're blocked everywhere. And if you dox my family, there will be consequences. Otherwise, have a nice life.
So this might be my last TikTok for a little while, just for today, because I really should be enjoying my vacation instead of being on here. But there's a couple things I wanted to bring up, and I just couldn't help myself. Bye-bye, Chili. Bye-bye. And let's be clear. Chili deserved to have his account banned. He is entirely racist. And if you don't believe me, here's a little extra proof.
I'm with my friend Eric. He makes my t-shirts branded a racist.
Because you are.
His website's publicstatementapparel.com. I appreciate you, Eric, for making my t-shirts for me. I had a question for black people, not people of color, black people. If you make a hip-hop song and there's two different kinds of words, the N with the hard R on it and the N with the A on the end of it, Am I racist if I rap the words that
I just can't with this guy. He's tried to create a cult following. And when he got called out for being racist, all of a sudden, his cult following has dissipated entirely. But now, since he can't have his cult, he wants to imply that T. Nathan and the Fold are cultish.
This is a message to all persons who attach themselves to a group called the Fold Unleashed. This has turned into a criminal case. Upon investigating the Fold, what I found was that the leader of the Fold would come out and say, here's their profile, here's your assignment, and then that account would be deleted or disappeared because an army of trolls would attack that account.
Now remember, he said that that was a RICO case. It's not a RICO case. Listen, my guy, you are not in any way, shape, or form a legal scholar. I have shit-talked you so much over the last couple of months, and you've earned it. You're a racist. You're not a legal scholar. I don't even think you went to law school. And if you did, you sure as shit didn't pass the bar. And I have yet to find anywhere where you have license to practice law or have even reciprocity in other states. But failed Power Ranger is going to do failed Power Ranger things. You couldn't write TV shows. You couldn't be a Power Ranger. So why not try and lie about your legal bona fides? Since you're suing everybody, my man, bring it the fuck on. As somebody who didn't go to law school, but I have a shit ton of friends who did, they would love nothing more than to take you on pro bono. Bring it on. I am not hard to find. File a lawsuit, my friend. File a lawsuit, you racist piece of crap. I'm begging you, because I will own your entire life when it's over.
1 jab, 2 jab, 3 jab, 4, 5 jab, 6 jab, 7 jabs more.
This is one of the cringiest things that I've seen this man post. And that's saying a lot. I wish that I could say I was shocked. But you know, outing yourself as a fucking undercover racist wasn't enough, I guess. Now, you're also anti-mask and anti-vaccine. For those of you who don't believe me, go look at his other post right before this one. On his, now what, the 10th fucking TikTok account? It's fucking cringy and fucking pathetic. Like, do old white men just think that receipts are not a thing on the internet? Like, I don't know how old this man is, but too old to understand what he's doing.
You do that